We're shooting reloader 22, 70.5 grains. Let's go ahead and shoot it. $35.85.
You guys sign in there?
Believe it or not, the stark contrast in velocities that you saw in the intro have the exact same bullet, the exact same powder charge, and the exact same primer. So why is one over 200 feet per second faster than the other? Well, in this video, I want to explain why I'm getting such different velocities. The simple answer is, it's the brass. But let's go into detail why it's so much faster. Over a year ago, in the video where I showed that this bullet was now going over 3,800 feet per second, one of my viewers had asked, hey, how on earth did it jump from 35.85 up to 38.14? That doesn't really make any sense. And in a short, non-descriptive answer, I said, well, it's really just the brass. I changed the brass. Well, it wasn't a very good, detailed explanation, and turns out the viewer is still wanting to know, and he's had doubts about all of my velocity claims ever since. So this is kind of a video to clear all of it up right here. For this specific load, we are using reloader 22. The bullet of choice is this Barnes 101 grain LRX. As I said, the only difference that we had between the 35.85 load and the 3,814 feet per second load is a different type of brass. So on the left, this is older brass that Weatherby had Norma make. So this is Norma brass. You can see it's going to have a different font than the newer brass that is made. There's rumors that it's Peterson. I'm not actually sure because Peterson doesn't have 257 Weatherby brass on their website. But as you can see, a different font for 257 Weatherby mag. But let's go ahead and weigh the water grain capacity to see why there's such a huge difference in velocity. We'll start weighing the older Norma Weatherby brass. Let's go ahead and zero it and then fill it up with water. Official weight for the older Norma brass is 86.3 grains. Now for the newer Weatherby brass, it does look like it weighs a little more than the Norma brass. Let's go ahead and zero it. There it is, folks, the big reason why the velocity jump. This newer Weatherby brass only has 80.9 grains of water capacity. Let's now look into GRT to see a rough estimate of the pressures we are getting. Now we're looking at GRT. I went ahead and put in the case length, the water grain capacity with the Norma brass, the cartridge overall length, which is 3.185. I do have a barrel length of 26 inches. GRT does not have the 101 grain LRX, so I put in the Barnes TTSX. Should be close enough. It's off by like 1 grain. And then we're putting in Reliant Reloader 22. The day that I shot this, it was around 34 degrees Fahrenheit. So we put in 34 degrees. And this is what GRT estimated. 66,000 PSI, a little over pressure with an estimated velocity of 3610. In the video, I got 35.85. So let's go up to OBT and adjust it. 35.85, and we'll go ahead and hit compute. Now we are just under 65,000 PSI with the Norma brass, so just about right at max. Now let's put in the data for the newer Weatherby brass that has a smaller water grain capacity. So as you can see, 80.9 grains of H2O capacity. Everything else is the exact same. Same bullet. And then it was a little bit warmer that day, 45 degrees. And GRT's estimate Whoa, yikes. It's pretty humbling and dangerous. 78,000 psi and estimated velocity 3,760 feet per second. The crazy part is the muzzle velocity is not even right. So when you adjust it to 3814, yeah, it's bad. So there's definitely a reason why I completely stopped shooting this load with that brass. Your initial reaction is probably, holy crap, man. Did you not see any pressure signs? And the answer is, yeah, there was some small pressure signs. I think the biggest one you see here is the cratered primer. I've seen worse cratered primers. So, and then you can see some ejector marks. So, you know, for something over 80,000 psi, you would think, I don't know, you'd be blowing primers or there'd be a lot more pressure signs. But with high quality brass, it's not always going to show like you might think it would. You might also say, like, holy cow, your pocket primers, what, lasted one shot? Actually, surprisingly, this brass has lasted quite a long time. It has probably 6 or 7 firings through it and still has a decent amount of resistance into it. So surprisingly, this brass has been very good. I just wanted to show you the ballistics real quick. We'll start with the more mild Norma brass load. It is going 3585, 2,883 foot-pounds. We'll just go every 200 yards. The bolt's going 3204, 2303 foot-pounds of energy. The distance dropped is in MOA 0.73. At 400, the bolt's going 2856 feet per second, 1829 foot-pounds, and 3.62 MOA to 400 yards. It's pretty crazy. I forgot to tell you, this is at 9,000 feet, so where I'd be hunting deer. 600 yards, 2,533 feet per second, 1,440 foot-pounds of energy, and only 7.31 MOA to 600 yards. Now, for you purist long-range shooters that only talk and think in mils, let me show you the mils to 1,000 at this elevation with this load. Only 4.9 mils, so it's under 5 mils to 1,000. To put things in perspective, the 6.5 Creedmoor is almost 8 mils to 1,000. Now, let's say I just don't care about my personal safety, the barrel life, and my brass, and I just went for it with this load with the newer Weatherby brass at 3814 feet per second, 3,263 foot-pounds of energy at 23412 feet per second, 2611 foot-pounds. Not a huge difference between the two loads at 200 yards, half MOA to get to 200. At 400, the bolt's still going 3,047. You got 2,082 foot-pounds, only 3.06 MOA to 400 yards. It's insane. To 600, the bolt's going 2710. Energy, 1,648 foot-pounds and 6.3 MOA. So a whole MOA advantage over my slower load. You ready for this? The mils to 1,000, 4.3 mils to 1,000 yards. That is insane. Moral of the story, if you're a reloader and your rifle / cartridge is getting really fast velocities, way faster than what the books or what your peers are getting, yeah, you're probably way over pressure, even if maybe your brass, I know this brass is showing some pressure, but let's say yours doesn't. Well, there are no free lunches.